Perfect. So, this week we are going to be talking about just all of the different tips and tricks to really just up your game on Instagram more so than anything else. So, just to recap, we have talked about our audiences, we've talked about creative tools, we've got a good understanding of what we want to say. So, this is all about rolling it out and rolling it out effectively. So, first things first, engagement. Engagement on the platform is really important because Instagram loves accounts that feel authentic or feel more human than a business account. So when you have a business account, it can become very easy to disengage from other accounts. So you're not liking their posts or talking to other people. You're just posting content. You're becoming a presentation essentially as opposed to a conversation on the platform. But engagement is a huge part of how much time and presence that Instagram is going to allow you to have on the platform in terms of how many followers. It doesn't matter how many followers you have in this instance, but what I find most beneficial for most people is that if I said to you, okay, go off and start engaging with other accounts, you might just start liking, posting, and thumbs ups and well done, and generic comments that are just like engaging for the sake of engaging, I guess, on the platform is what you could call it. But I would make a list of like 10 or 20 people who are most relevant to you on the platform. This is especially important if you're B2B. Go to their profile, hit the three dots in the top right hand corner, hit notifications, and you can turn on notifications then for either their posts or their stories or IGTVs or when they go live. So you can interact with key people at the right place and at the right time. And when you engage with them, try to be as helpful as possible, I guess, especially if they have a larger audience. Be as, like, for example, when I have key digital marketing people and when they post, I go in, look at it, and see if I can kind of plus one their post almost, where I just add something as highly valuable as possible to that post. Because there's a feature on Instagram where big accounts, or well, any account can pin a comment to the top. So that means as other users are going through their content, they're always seeing your comment straight underneath. And that can be hugely beneficial for awareness in terms of just leveraging, piggybacking on big accounts. But you have to kind of get a few things right. You have to have the right person. You have to really have meaningful commentary to add, and you just need to try get there as quick as possible as well. So it can be tough, and the notifications can be extremely annoying if you have these pinging coming through. So select a small number of people to get started with and roll from there, really. The next thing is, and I've discussed this before, is about creating savable content. Instagram saves are the equivalent of, the only way to describe it really is a super like. So when someone saves a post, they're far more likely to see more of your content, but also is extremely important in terms of boosting your hashtag performance as well. So likes and comments are the things that people can see. Can you still see likes in the US actually? Do you know on the platform, Craig? You're not sure.
I don't think we see likes anymore.
Yeah, we definitely don't see them here.
I'll
I
check
think
right now
Ireland,
though.
Ireland is like a test bed for Instagram because we're a small English speaking country that it doesn't really matter if things go badly here. It doesn't affect the kind of.
I'm so sorry. On desktop, we do see likes. I'm not sure in the native app.
Yeah, no, so with the removal of likes, or their process towards that removal of likes, whether it's just in beta testing still here, I think it's been rolled out in Canada as well, but I'm not sure. But if it's not there already, it's coming, and it's the saves that are extremely important now in this instance because it's an indicator to the platform that someone is willing to come back and consume that content again. So it's a heavy factor in terms of the algorithm. What I like to do as much as possible is if I'm content planning, I will try to put a savable post ahead of a weaker post just to give the weaker post a little bit more traction if at all possible. So it you have this kind of domino effect on your next pieces of content as well that are on the platform. Use the engaging features as much as you can. So the real way to get people engaged is by starting a conversation, by being engaging, talk to people. Your Instagram account is not a presentation, it should be a conversation, especially in your stories. Like, use polls, use questions, use the quizzes, use the features to entice engagement. And then you can turn your regular followers not like into super followers, but like into engaged followers. Essentially is what you want. You want to, like, it's all well and good to have 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, but if only 5 of them engage with you, what odds does it make unless you're actually talking to these people? Engagement features are also extremely beneficial because they feed into the dwell time on the platform. So if someone hasn't liked your post or commented or saved it, how long did they stay at that post and why? And Instagram looks at that information as well in terms of, okay, someone spent enough time at this post for it to be relevant even if they didn't engage with it. So it's lower down in terms of like the engagement metrics, but it's certainly beneficial on the platform as well. So here are some Instagram story tricks. You can copy and paste photos from your camera roll or from your browser and talk about them or resize them and add additional features. You can do this with multiple photos. Now, you can do this directly from Instagram stories as well. You could just go in and click the photos and bring up your photo and put it in. But the handy thing about the copy and paste feature is that you can do it from anywhere. So if you were browsing the web or if you were like on a different platform or whatever, you can just copy and paste the photo directly from anywhere and paste it into your stories. You can also do this with GIFs. So if a GIF isn't available on the GIF search feature in Instagram stories, you can go to giphy.com or a place like that and you can just copy and paste it from there. People love to use that for customized GIFs. So there is, like, if you use Photoshop or even live photos or anything like that on your phone, where just taking a 2 to 5 second clip is probably 5 seconds might be pushing it a bit, but you can just convert it MP4 to GIF on tons of different platforms out there, get the background removed, and you can make custom GIFs for your business as well. Lots of people like to do it with like a little spinning logo or the arrow or swipe up or things like that. So you can use the copy and paste feature to use those and make them look native in the stories as well. You can also turn your live photos into boomerangs. So boomerangs are a feature a lot of people love on Instagram, where it kind of fast forwards and rewinds your video, kind of like a loop back and forth. But you can use your live photos, especially if you have an iPhone, and if you just go into stories, select the live photo that you want and hold down on it, it'll just automatically become a boomerang. So you can use that feature as well. They're nice and engaging because, again, they create that movement that is attention grabbing to the eye. It's very difficult to disengage from them just from just the way we're built in terms of actually engaging with content. So it's a great way to just use your live photos there again. You can also see how many times your post was shared on stories. Now, this is typically a blind metric. So say, for example, I put up a post and Craig shared it. Unless Craig tagged me, I don't get a notification or any awareness that Craig has taken that action and shared my content. But if you click on the 3 dots here next to a post, you can bring up, it'll bring up these options to archive, turn off commenting, edit, delete. But if someone has shared it, you will see the option view story reshares. And then over on the right, you'll be able to see all of the different places that has been shared. If your post has not been shared, you will not see this option. So it's normal for it not to be there if no one has actually shared your post. So just to be aware of that as well. You can also hide your hashtags in your stories. This is a pretty horrendous example because I wouldn't use this disgusting moon over here. But say, for example, you put up a story, you can use the stickers, you can use the features, you can use the different things that you can find in here in this little smiley face tab to actually cover your hashtags, and they're still effective. They still work. Now, the general rule of thumb with hashtags is that if you make them too small to read, assume Instagram can't read them as well. So the idea here is that you're trying to make You're just trying to hide them so that it doesn't look spammy. Now, this is a bad example, but with the moon, but you get the idea. You might have kind of a poll over it. You might have some other piece of a quiz over it. You might have an ask a question box over it. One of the other features that are a bit more appealing, or a GIF, a little GIF over it, or something like that. But you can make your post look a lot less spammy without them as well. The other, oh, sorry. The other thing you can do as well, and it's a handy little tip, is say for example, this blue sky is a good example. You can use the pen feature here, and you can ink drop the sky, so you can select the color of the sky and make that the text color. So essentially it just blends into the background and you can't see it anyway. So I try to squeeze in as much hashtags as possible in visibility mode, essentially on Instagram stories, because it does extend your reach, but also you don't want to make your stories look like they're just full of spam either. You can also hide your stories from specific users. So you can go to your profile and tap the hamburger menu. When I reference a hamburger menu, I mean the three lines on the top right hand corner. And you can go to your settings, privacy and story, and you can select who you want to hide your story from. In this instance, they do not get notified. They're not aware that they are being hidden from your stories. I've been forced to do this a few times because I have four brothers and sisters who like to just take the absolute piss out of me anytime I put up a story. So I have just decided to hide them from them, especially if it's digital marketing content. That's their particular favorite to make fun of me for. So they are now hidden from stories. So there is use case scenarios, probably better ones than the one I just gave there, but there is certainly reasons to use it. Maybe you're hiding an announcement from competitors to see it. You just want users to see it. Little things like that where it's beneficial. You can also swipe up without 10k followers. So the 10,000, there's two variations of this. So the swipe up feature is something that you get on Instagram when you hit 10,000. It has caused a lot of kind of issues on the platform. One, because people will buy followers to get to that 10k mark just to get the swipe up feature. But there is ways around it. Where there's a will, there's a way always. One is IGTVs. So if you use IGTV content and you have IGTVs in your feed. Now, if you don't have IGTVs in your feed right now, you will not see this option. But as soon as you post an IGTV, you will see the option to add a swipe up link to that IGTV, which is beneficial as well if you want to give someone more information, swipe up for more information. They swipe up and they get the IGTV video of you talking about it or doing something a little bit more. You can tag your product as well in that IGTV, or you can tag your product in the story as well if you're trying to get people to actually take purchase action from it. But you can use that swipe up feature for IGTV videos. Now, if you are a business or professional account on the platform, make sure that if you are a business that you go into your settings and change it from personal to some form of business account. It doesn't really matter which one, business, professional, creator, those are the three. The one thing I would say though is that if you're creating real content or if you're creating any content where you want to use the music feature, you may as well set yourself to the creator one, because sometimes they will say, well, as a business, this will be an impact copyright and all of this, and it doesn't actually make much of a difference. But the creator account will give you all the same features in the sense of a click to email, click to call, click to all of these different, it looks like a business profile from the outset, and you can use those music features more effectively. But in terms of the swipe up feature, any account can get it if you pay to play, essentially. But you can go to your profile, you can go to your story. If you're at the bottom of the story, you'll see three little dots and you can just tap promote on those. Even if you put it as low as $1 or euro or whatever, you can hit well, there's two benefits of it. First, you get this, you can add in a link and you get the swipe up feature straight away, but also you can guarantee that you will hit a lot more people than you normally would, and typically you can do it for a very low cost as well. I think $1 is actually the lowest you can put in on the platform. So you can leave it as $1 one day, and you will have the swipe up feature on that particular post. Now, I know this isn't a cost effective way of doing it if you had this on every post, but typically you wouldn't need the swipe up on every post. You would only, or on every story, you would only need it in specific scenarios. So you can force that to happen as well, by using the promote feature. If you have experience using Ads Manager, I would highly recommend using that instead of the boost feature. It'll work just the same if you hit the boost feature, but if you want a little bit more control over your audience, a little bit more control over who you want to get in front of outside of your followers, then I would use the Ad Manager just to have a little bit more control there. There's also lots of Instagram DM tricks as well. You can turn off your activity status, and that's really important if you don't need to let the world know when you're online if you don't want to. So you can go into privacy activity status and toggle off your activity status there. There's a few benefits for this, especially in the business context, where if customers or clients are kind of in your DMs, or like a lot of people end up using their DMs as a customer service to a degree as well. I see that a lot in retail, and retail especially. Turning the activity status off there is beneficial, especially so that people aren't getting frustrated that they're not being replied to at the efficient speed that they want to, which in a lot of customers' minds, especially if they're frustrated, means reply within the next 30 seconds to 1 minute. So they want prompt replies, but they don't expect as prompt replies when you have that activity status turned off, which is beneficial. You can also open a message without the tag, seen tag popping up. So if you open a message on the platform, it reads seen for the other user. Again, in a B2B context or a B2C context, if you need a little bit of time to get back to a user, or if you need to go off and fix something, or there could be scenarios where you just need to delay that response. That seen tag doesn't really help you in terms of the amount of time you have between reading it and getting back to them. So in that scenario, you don't need to open their message. If you go to their Instagram profile and hit the 3 dots again on the top right hand corner and hit restrict the profile, what will happen is that the message will move into your other inbox, and that other inbox, you've probably seen it in Instagram in your DMs. There's actually 2 inboxes. The second one is just called other, and typically that's where all the spam lives, in terms of like join our group, click on this link, and all of that kind of crap. Essentially, Instagram filters that into the other inbox. But if you open a message in the other inbox, there is no seen tag. And if you restrict a profile, it automatically moves the message in there on your behalf. So you can go into the restricted inbox, open it, read it, and then you can go unrestrict their profile and the message will just move back. This is kind of like a not a regular use scenario, I guess. This is just kind of if and when you need it. The one thing I would say about this as well, though, is I typically wouldn't do this to another small business account, because if you restrict an account, there is an indicator that you're flagging that there's something wrong, that they've done something wrong. And if they haven't, then you don't want to kind of negatively impact them over the coming days until not until it's resolved, but just while you just it's kind of like a negative point for another business. So you can kind of make a judgment call on it yourself as well. There's lots of general tricks on the platform as well. You can stop seeing posts or stories from accounts you follow but don't love. So we all have accounts that we have to follow for whatever reason, be it their clients or customers, or you just need to follow them. But if they're cramming up your newsfeed, you can go into the account that you want to mute, tap the follow button, click mute. From there, you can choose whether you want to mute the posts, mute stories from the account, and you can also mute the posts and stories by pressing and holding on a story in your tray or from a profile. So you can kind of continue to show face, if that makes sense, but also not consume content if you don't want it in your feed, which is important as well. You can also create shortcuts for common responses. So say, for example, you are always being asked about your opening hours, you're always being asked about your delivery times, or general questions about something specific to your business, you can go into your Instagram profile. Again, the hamburger menu, 3 lines in the top right hand corner, settings. And then the creator section, then you can create quick replies. You can choose a few words or phrase to act as a shortcut if you want, and then you can just type that in whenever you need it. It's very handy as well. So what I like to use that for is my hashtags. So I'll go in and I'll create all of my hashtags in there, and I can just use shortcuts for those then when I need them. So I don't have to go in and be like dot 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 hashtag Instagram, hashtag digital marketer, to go through all 30 of them, because as I was saying in the last session about hashtags, I mean, that can take a considerable amount of time there as well, in terms of actually getting through the research phase first of all, but then actually physically typing them out is a whole different ball game again. So you can create shortcuts in here as well. You can also remove old posts, without deleting them forever. So you can hide them out of sight with the archive function. Again, the 3 dots at the top right in the post that you want to remove, and just select archive. Archived posts stay on your profile then forever. So say, for example, in 4 weeks time, you decided that you wanted to go back in and reinstate an image that you archived, it will just reappear exactly in the same position that it was in previously. Every piece of social proof or engagement or comment will fully reinstate with it. Now, there's lots of use case scenarios for this as well. So, like, say, for example, celebrities would use this a lot, where they will just archive everything in their feed and then just have one post for like a new announcement or something like that. I actually recently archived nearly all my posts as well, just to start a new layout, just to see if just an experiment out of anything, to see if a fresh feed actually kind of drives things further, or how that works. So it's interesting. I'll let you know how that test goes, but archiving can be great because you can go back through content that was weaker, or you can go back through and archive content that was potentially time sensitive at the time. So maybe you posted about something that was happening the day after, and then the day after passed, and now it's just kind of an irrelevant part of your feed. So you can use that feature to remove old posts without deleting them forever. You can also post from your computer. This is an outdated actually screenshot of Facebook Creator Studio. Excuse me. But I would highly recommend checking it out if you don't use it already. You can integrate in your Facebook and your Instagram in the same place, but you can get lots of information in here. They have great insights into your account. You can reflect back over previous posts. You can look at the performance. You can look at your reach. You can look at your data. You can schedule things out for weeks on end. The only thing you can't schedule really is stories and reels from the platform, but as a general rule, you could do your content calendar. It has a nice calendar feature in here now. This is the older version of it in the screen grab here, but they have a very nice calendar feature that you can use now as well, in terms of actually planning and scheduling your content as well. That visual feel for your content is extremely important on the platform as well, because it is so highly visual. So using calendar features that actually give you a visual kind of tack on what it's going to look like is important as well. You can also hide and filter comments. Hiding offensive comments or common rude language is important, especially if you're a business that's getting bigger, because it can happen frequently. Now, it's not Twitter. I mean, we all, like, Instagram is a different dynamic, I guess, than the world of Twitter. But you can hide offensive comments, but you can set up auto filters, and this is how you do it here from your profile. Again, in your settings, privacy and comments, you can set manual filters for specific words or phrases. Now that's really helpful as well if there's something like scenario specific to your business that might come up in terms of what people might comment that you don't want. I have a client that has manual filters set up for the word refund. So there's little things like that you can use. It's also a negative keyword in their Google ads, but it's important, those little things. These don't need to be used for this intended purpose essentially is for bullying, but it can be leveraged to make sure that you are not getting the comments that you don't want relevant to your business, like refunds, cancellation, didn't arrive on time, delivery, postage, anything that could be just like irritating to you essentially can be removed from here. You can't disable comments across your profile, but you can disable comments on a specific post as well. So you'll see this sometimes. Celebrities would use this all the time when they're posting something controversial or political, for example. If there's so many scenarios where it can be used, especially in a political setting. So advanced settings, and you can turn off commenting while you're posting a specific piece of content, but you can't disable that across your entire account, at least not right now. But it's handy if you and sometimes you can use these features as well to kind of give a sense of excitement to something as well. So like disabling comments, removing lots of other posts, putting up something coming soon, or little things like that, where you make everyone and everyone who's following you going, what's going on, but in a good way, to kind of keep them intrigued. And then you flood them back with the information, and they're highly engaged. So you can use these features to pull back and then release kind of information or ways of getting back in front of them again. Now you can also limit your screen time. So just because you can scroll forever doesn't mean you should. You can save yourself from yourself. Instagram has a built-in daily timer, and you can go into your profile, and again, the hamburger menu there, and you can tap your activity and set your daily reminder. You can choose an amount of time and then just set the reminder. A fun way to work with this is go in and set a daily reminder for the amount of time that you think you spend on the platform. And I could guarantee you by lunchtime tomorrow it'll go off. It is typically a lot more than we think that we spend on the platform. There's a few things that why this is really beneficial. I mean, I as a digital marketer like to give myself the excuse that I can be on the platform just because it's my job. But in reality, these are highly addictive platforms that are built off like the best systems in the world for holding our attention. I mean, everything from like when you swipe your feed down and that pop feature and something new pops up. I mean, that mimics a slot machine exactly. Everything down to the pigmentation of the red on your notifications has been tailored, customized by UX teams over the last 10 years that are honing in on the perfect color, the perfect combination, the perfect tone of the ping you hear. All of that is completely customized to take as much of your attention as absolutely possible and hold your attention for as much time as possible as well. So there is features that have been built here that extend much longer in terms of our psychological history and what we've been studying of it, especially in the realm of gambling and all of that. So it's certainly worth just limiting screen time as much as possible as well on the platform. Perfect. So that is the quickest I've ever gone through that presentation.